My name is Charles Harrell, and I'm here interviewing Mr. Lucas about his World War II experiences. For the record, Mr. Lucas, can you please state your full name?
Lawrence R. Lucas. Lawrence Reginald Lucas.
And your birth date, sir?
August the 3rd, 1923.
And today is June 28th, 2004. What branch of service did you serve in?
U.S. Marine Corps.
And what was your rank when you went into the service and then when you came out?
I went in as a private and I came out as a corporal.
Were you drafted or enlisted when you joined the service, sir?
I volunteered in enlistment, but I do feel that I would have been drafted into the Army, so I volunteered to enlist in the Marine Corps.
Why do you think you would have been drafted?
Well, I was of draft age, and they seemed to be calling people, so I did not take a chance on going in the Army.
And where were you living at this time?
I was living in Fredericksburg.
With your parents?
No, my parents died when I was young. At least my mother did. My father, he died maybe if I got to be a young adult.
And how were you able to survive during the Great Depression?
Such as what?
During the Great Depression.
Well, I was not actually born during the time of the Great Depression, but I worked even when I was going to, I started working when I was 13 years old when I was going to school. So I was surviving very young.
And what school did you attend?
I attended Fredericksburg Elementary School, and then Mayfield High School, which is over in what they call Mayfield. But my senior year, they had built a new school, Walker Grant High School. So I attended that my senior year.
Did you go to any schooling after high school?
Well, I went to Virginia State College on the government program, but I did not stay but 3 months because all I could see at that time, opportunity for me as a college graduate was to be a teacher, a preacher, or a doctor, and I had no desire to be either one.
What did you hope to become?
Well, at that time I had my mind on being a mechanic, automobile mechanic.
Why did you pick the Marines to join?
It may sound kind of silly, but I was only weighing 127 pounds. And so I picked something tough to make up for my lack of weight.
Did you have any friends who joined at the same time?
Yeah, I did have, I can't remember now, was one or two of my close high school friends. We joined at the same time.
Were you hoping to be in the same corps and regiment?
Yeah, went all the way through one went all the way through the Marine Corps with me and got out at the same time.
What did it feel like that first day that you went into the service?
Well, I was very afraid, and I wondered if I had made a mistake because the treatment we received and the base where we were sent. Now, I must admit here, the treatment was not necessary because of discrimination. It was just treatment from the drill instructors and the sergeants over us as privates. It made me doubt if I really had. Wish I'd stayed home.
Can you recall the first memory you have of going into basic training?
Yes, I can recall that they did a lot of, first part they did a lot of running and then drilling. Well, I always could move fast because I was very lightweight. And the drill, well, I caught on to that very quick. And so there was no problem in that part of it. Only thing what it was, they would run you through the swamps, and you didn't have but 2 sets of clothes, and you'd get one set all muddy, you'd come back and wash those and put the clean set on, and by that time they're running you again.
Mr. Lucas, where and when did you report to your first day?
I reported, actually joined in Richmond on the 22nd of May, and then 1943, and then we were sent to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Montford Point, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. That's where we were sent.
Do you remember any of your instructors as being nice or extremely harsh that you can recall?
Well, all of them, I don't remember at that time, I don't remember any being nice. All of them were very tough and extremely hard.
So how did you get through? Was it 6 weeks or 8 weeks of training?
It was approximately 8 weeks, I think, yes. Well, just all the time they create I can't say what they create in you, but it makes you feel that if this man over here can do it, I can do it. What they put in your mind, that really keeps you going. Yeah.
Did you feel singled out at any time during basic training?
No, did not feel singled out. Because what I did, everybody did it.
Including your friends from Fredericksburg?
Right, everybody got the same treatment.
While you were in basic, did you make any new friends that you'd like to mention?
Yes, I made new friends. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, after you came back or got done with basic training, where exactly did you go?
Well, they sent us to, I don't believe I came home. They sent us to Providence, Rhode Island, and Davisville Navy base, which was CB base. And then they put us on a boat and shipped us overseas.
Did you have any specialized training?
No specialized training whatsoever. No, we did not have the blacks did not have those opportunities at that time, because all of us were considered stevedores, just to unload ships. That's what we were considered, even though I never unloaded a ship in my life.
When you left Rhode Island, you were aboard ship going where?
Well, we did not know where we were going, but we did. First place we hit was when we stopped in Panama a couple of days. Then we went to American Samoa, stayed there a couple of days, and there I met a white friend I grew up with.
From Fredericksburg?
From Fredericksburg. He lived one street and I lived the next street, about the same age, and he was very nice to me. Wanted to know if I needed any money or anything. I told him, no, just give me something to eat. And it so happened he was a baker. He loaded me down with donuts. And then we left American Samoa and we went to Ellis Islands. I remember two. One was island. There's a bunch of islands, maybe about a couple hundred yards apart. One island named Funafuti, and the other island was Amatuca. We were on Amatuca. the only thing that was on the Amatuka was rats, land crabs, ammunition, and fuel.
And what did you do on Amatuka?
Well, first I'd like to say there were about 100 black Marines, and the rest on this island were white Marines. So what we did, what most of the guys did was unload ships, but they had a switchboard set up there for communication. So they really needed somebody to help on the switchboard. By having worked at hotels when I was very young, I knew how to operate switchboard. So they asked who could do it. Well, I told them I could, even though I had to learn a lot. But I'd worked on the switchboard. I think we stayed there about approximately 18 months. And that's what I did on the switchboard.
When you were on the switchboard, do you recall any particular message that you might have taken or connected?
Yeah, the most messages that I had to watch out for would air raid or something come in. They had mighty orange, mighty yellow, and mighty red. They were the codes. And so when those messages would come in, well, I had to see that the word got to somebody in authority. So it was a very good job.
Were you in a particular regiment at this time?
Well, we were in what you call the 7th Depot Company. And I don't know, and there was a White Marine Division. I don't know whether it was the 4th or 5th Division there that we were attached to.
And do you remember the name of your commanding officer or anyone else?
No, I can't remember the name of my commanding officer now. No, I can't remember that.
For 18 months you were on Amatuka.
Yes.
Besides working on the switchboard, what other memorable occasions do you remember for those 18 months?
Well, I remember one night I was not on duty that night, that we were talking about going home. Maybe we had been there about a year. Everybody said the word is that we are going home. And then everybody talking, well, I'd like to see some action before we go. And then I remember hearing a noise, boom, 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 boom. They were having an air raid. Not on the island I was on, but the Funafuti, which is a couple of 100 yards away. That's what they were bombing. So I remember jumping out of, we called it sack, but jumping out of bed. And I ran into one of these amphibious ducks. And I bounced off that. Then we had not dug foxholes even now. Well, the White Marines had foxholes. So I wasn't in no foxhole. I thought it was everybody's foxhole. Then I remember this White Marine pulling a 45 out on me, making me get out of his foxhole. And so I got out. And then the next day, well, I got a couple of buddies. We started digging foxholes. And so we cut out coconut trees, put across, and then got sand off the beach and put in bags to put sandbags on it. Then we almost got court-martialed for cutting down the tree. The island belonged to, I forget who the island belonged to, but it did not belong to the United States. And we did not have permission to cut down the tree. So that's just one of the things that I can remember happened there.
For an entire year you were on an island and you hadn't come under attack?
We had several bombing raids, but they were not trying to hit us for some reason. They were trying to hit the other island. about a couple of 100 yards away from us. But if they bombing, we had no idea where the bomb was going to fall. Yeah.
Did you ever see the enemy aircraft or just hear the bomb?
Yeah, we saw the aircraft. Uh-huh.
Were you trained to identify that or operating any weapons?
No, at that time we had no training. No. I mean, just a minimum amount of training, shooting a rifle, something like that. But no anti-aircraft guns, anything.
Were there many casualties in your group, your depot company?
No.
Did you ever come under enemy rifle attack?
No.
After you spent 18 months on Amatuco, where were you sent?
We were sent back to Pearl Harbor, Camp Catlin, and then we stayed there a while, and then we went to Hilo, Hawaii, and that's where we spent the rest of the time, in Hilo.
And what was your job there in Hilo?
Well, and in Hilo, I drove a truck in Hilo.
Can you describe your truck and some memorable experience?
It was a dump truck that built homes, sand and stuff to build ramps from the beach so boats could come up to the beach, or we'd build ramps like that. So that was kind of quiet there, but one thing, I always wanted to go back there because on our off duty, we built a church over there. And I often wonder what happened to that church. So we did that because we wanted to do it. Then it was relaxation from the Marine Corps, just to get out among people.
Did you ever see or have a good friend who was captured as a prisoner?
No, no.
Or did you see any Japanese prisoners?
No,
Did you get any medals or citations for your experience?
Only good conduct and sharpshooter for rifle and Asiatic Pacific medal, and they did consider the combat medal for over in Amatuca.
Because you were under attack?
Right.
Do you remember how many times you were attacked?
No, I don't remember how many.
But you remember
it was
that
frequently,
one.
though.
Frequently?
Yeah.
Frequently after 6 or 8 months you were there, or at
Well,
the very beginning?
but I'd say after about, look like you started coming in around 8, 12 months. That's when they started getting attacked.
Did you ever get sick or have any friends who got sick while they were in the service?
No, sickness was one thing that we never even thought about being sick. Never even thought about it.
Was there a hospital on either of the 2 islands that you remember?
Just said what you call Navy corpsmen there. No hospitals.
How was the food in the Marine Corps while you were in the service?
Terrible. Terrible. Food was terrible.
Do you remember any one that was worse than the others and what it was?
Well, I can't say. Practically, we ate most the same thing all the time. I remember we ate a lot of spam. Looked like they would take and fry it in the morning, and boil it for lunch, and bake it in the evening. Yeah.
Did you have any superiors who kept a watch over what you were doing that you remember?
Most of the superiors, once you find that you could do your job, whatever they asked you to do, but they didn't bother you. No, they didn't bother you. They would leave you alone.
So on Montuco, you were working on the switchboard for all 18 months.
Right.
And then you went to Hawaii and then Hilo, where you were building things.
Drove a truck. Right.
Did you work any other heavy equipment?
Just playing around with it. Wasn't assigned to it. I just, if I was there one day and the guy had been operating, he took a break, well, I would get on and just play with it, but not really assigned to it.
When you were in Hilo, how was life compared to Montuco?
Oh, Hilo was fine. Hilo reminded me so much of Fredericksburg. It was a little small town that it was not fast. But over at Camp Catlin, where Honolulu was, that was just like New York City. But Hilo was just quiet, small. And the people were very friendly, the closeness of it.
Can you describe to me any time that you went on vacation or furlough?
I went from Hilo once to, I learned my brother-in-law was in Honolulu. He was in the Army. So I went over to see him. And so I had a 24-hour pass. So I never did see him. He was on one corner, and I was on the other corner. And as he would move around the block, I would move. And we never got to see each other. I remember that.
How was life aboard the transportation you had, like the ships and if you rode in the plane?
Well, going overseas, we were on a freighter with about 1,100 Seabees. And for the Navy, they ate well, they slept well, but I slept on the top deck of the freighter. And I put boards under me and poncho, as we call it, to keep rain off it. We could also make a tent or wear it. I would put that over me so it would rain on top of the poncho, and by sleeping up on boards, the water would run underneath me. And we would, as far as eating, well, we only had 2 meals a day. And there's so many other Marines on there. You get in the line, eat breakfast. You get in line, go get your breakfast. You get on the line, eat it. Then you get on the end of the line again. By that time, it's lunchtime. And you get to 2 meals. And the Navy, they ate well, though. They ate down in the dining hall. Sometimes I just go down and people, they really ate good.
Did you ride on any other ships beside that freighter?
Only what you call LSTs and that kind of stuff. No, but going over, that's the only thing I was on that freighter, going over.
When you rode on the LST, what was your job there?
Well, we were just going from Hilo to Honolulu there.
When you were in Honolulu, did you see what the Navy base looked like by the time you were there?
Well, I never got to see the Navy base. They had a Marine base. And I do remember when I was there, I had been out on a Liberty there. And not to be wild and foolish, I had been out partying, and I came back. A guy told me, said, "A captain called here for you." I said, "Captain?" I said, "What did I do out there, I wonder?" So he left the number, I called him back. And it was a very good friend who used to be the postmaster in Fredericksburg, and he happened to know me. His name was Lim Houston. And So I called him. He said he heard that I was over there and he wanted me to go with him in the outfit he was in. So I told him to give me a while to think about it. So I thought about it, and then I called him back, and I told him that I'd rather stay with the guys that I'm with, because this 100 or so of us had been together all the time. We had almost formed a family. So, and I'm glad I told him, because they took off, went straight to Iwo Jima, Saipan. That's where a lot of Marines got killed. So I'm glad I stayed away from that. Yeah.
And did you keep close touch with these men after the war was over?
Yeah, I kept very good close touch. One of my best friends, though, he stayed in the Marine Corps for 30 years. Well, I think it was last year, I went on the computer and located him, and I had not heard from him in 50 years. And they are, and I know I have one in Atlanta, Georgia, that we get emails all the time. And then they have a Montford Point Marine chapter in Washington, which I belong to. In fact, they're having a convention up there July the 23rd. But I want to go, but my wife is not well, and I can't drive to D.C., and so I guess I have to pass it up. That's when all the old Montford, in fact, all the black Marines went to Montford Point, which was only the blacks went there that time. The whites went to Paris Island. And so when you hear Montford Point Marine, that meant that one of the original black Marines who served in the Marine Corps.
Did you experience any kind of entertainment while you were a Marine? Any shows or?
No. Let me see. No entertainment. We did not see the entertainment. The only thing, we did have a basketball team, which we played among the other units. That's about all.
Did you play?
Yeah. Me and my 127 pounds. Yeah, I wasn't too bad, though.
Were you a winning team? Could you describe?
Yeah, we won. We did not win the finals, but we played in the finals, but we lost. We had a good team. Mm-hmm. Very good.
Did you play only against other black Marines or black soldiers, or were you playing against white soldiers too?
We played against the blacks, like the Navy and the Army. See, the Marine Corps wasn't integrated at the time. It was completely segregated. Yeah, we had black bathrooms, black quarters to live in, black quarters to sleep in.
Did you ever regret joining the Marine Corps versus another branch of service?
No, the only thing, but I guess at that time, the Air Force probably was just as bad. Lack of opportunities. And I did go back in the Marine Corps. I joined the reserve and I went back during the Korean War. Well, it was integrated. But back to World War II, I think they started letting the Marines, black people in the Marine Corps, I think in October 1942. And I went in May 1943. So they just started even letting us in. so we had a pretty rough time. But I can't say there was a lot of whites being hard on us, because we were only among blacks most of the time. Yeah.
Were you married before the war?
No.
No. Before you enlisted, and before even we got involved in the war in December 1941, could you see, or what was your feeling about what was happening in the world?
Well, really, as far as the United States, well, I didn't see anything wrong with that. I did not see anything wrong with it. Of course, Hitler, well, of course, that what was wrong. But I worked, and then I went to college for 3 months, and then so that's after I finished high school. Even went to New Jersey and stayed 2-3 months up there. Yeah. I mean, I was more or less happy, but I just got bored, tired of doing nothing. And I don't regret going in the Marine Corps.
Do you remember the day of December 7th, 1941, when we were attacked?
Well, I slightly remember. Mm-hmm.
What do you recall?
Well, most I recall the headlines in the newspapers, and then I even started selling newspapers. I'd stand on the corner. It was Fredericksburg was a thoroughfare through there. I would stand and sell newspapers. Shame to make a lot of money off the war, but I did it. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Do you recall the very last day of your before you left Hilo to go home?
No, I can't say that nothing special. I know when we came home, we came home on an aircraft carrier. I remember we just playing football on the beach, waiting to get on the carrier.
What carrier did you come home on?
I can't remember the name of that carrier, but it was a nice ship, very nice.
And what was where did you go when you were coming home? Did you go?
We came to San Diego, California.
And from there?
Well, that's where I was discharged in California.
What do you remember about your discharge day?
I remember coming in. We had to stay out there about 3 days before the ship could get into the harbor. It was so crowded. And then we stayed on they kept us in the Camp Pilgrim. They kept us there. I forget how long before they sent us to North Carolina. And the process and everything, most of it was done in California. Then they sent us to North Carolina, back to Camp Lejeune again. But when I got back to Camp Lejeune, all I wanted to do was get out. In fact, everybody who came back, I believe they had where you would get another strike when you got out. But I never got mine. In fact, I didn't even care when I was going on. I didn't need the strike. I'm going home. But in 1948, I enlisted in the reserves, and I did go back. I got called back in 1950. That was to the Korean War.
I want to come back to the Korean War in a moment. When you got discharged from Paris Island, North Carolina, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, did they give you any money or tickets to get home to Fredericksburg?
I think they gave us, I don't remember the money part, but they gave us tickets to Fredericksburg. Yeah.
And what was your experience when you were riding a train?
Yeah.
And then got into Fredericksburg. And you got off the train.
Uh-huh.
What was your feeling, and what did you plan to do that day? Well,
nothing exciting. Just go to my grandparents, who actually lived across the street from where I had lived. And just go there and then go around town, see what was going on. Nothing exciting.
What did your grandparents think when they first saw you after being
Well, they
gone?
were very glad to see me. They were very glad. But they knew that I was always surviving, practically took care of my own self. They would give me advice, but that was it. And then I would go there when I needed them.
After the war, what did you go back to school or get a job?
I'm trying to think, what did I do? I went back to the hotel where I had worked when I was, going to school. And I got a job there, working at the hotel. And then my father had been a barber, and my brother was a barber. And I learned to be a barber also at that time.
And how long were you a barber? How long were you a barber?
How long? Well, to be truthful, I cut hair some now. I have a shop over in my garage.
Did you expect to become that mechanic that you had wanted to become?
No, I had forgotten all about that then. I really had forgotten. That didn't cross my mind.
How were you treated back home by your neighbors and by the community as a war veteran?
Well, nothing great was made of it. You were just the same then as you were before you left. Everybody treated you nice, and they recognized that you had been in service, but no big to do or anything over it.
Had you seen any change in Fredericksburg from the time you left to the time you came back?
No, at that time, no. It's still the same. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned you joined a veterans organization. Can you tell me its name again?
Veterans organization. Well, I belong to the Montford Point Marines, which are all black Marines, and the original first Marines who went in. In fact, I was one of the first three, I would say, that went in the Marine Corps from this area. But I also belong to American Legion, Disabled Veterans, Veterans of Foreign War, and we have a former Marine chapter in Fredericksburg now, which I am the only black one that attend. We meet every first Wednesday. But the Montford Point Marine, though, that's the one that really stands out for me.
So what did you do after the war as a career?
Well, I got married and had, after World War II, I got married and had 2 children. And I still worked at the hotel and barber, cut hair. And then I think I got out of the Marine Corps in December 45. And 1948, I joined the reserves. In 1950, I was called back into the Marine Corps. I was one little baby, 15 months old, and I was running a barbershop.
What did you do when you were recalled? Well,
in fact, they called me up Quantico for a physical. They put me on the train to go to Camp Lejeune. Train stopped at Fredericksburg. I lived half a block from the train station. I got off the train. and to go home, see my family, and do something about the barbershop I had. I stayed home about 2 weeks, and I caught a bus down there, and to North Carolina, and going down, well, we met a bus that had broken down, coming from, I think, Boston, that had all Marine reserves going in. So they loaded those guys on our bus I was on, and had the other passengers, got off. They had so I went on in camp with these guys. They never knew that I had been AWOL. They never even knew it. Down there, well, that time went back in. I drove a truck there. I stayed in that time for a year, but I did not go over to Korea. Most we did was transport the Marines to Montford City, who would go out different places. And that's when I was in motor transport.
And you finally ended that on what date? Do you remember?
Got a Korea War. I don't. They released me. I don't remember when they released me, but I think it was probably around December. So I know around the first of the following year, I went to Quantico to work there. And my health went bad with TB. And I put in a VA hospital in Richmond. So I didn't know that I got my official discharge when I was in around 1952, when I was in the VA hospital in Richmond.
At the end of World War II, when the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki occurred, do you remember your first understanding about the dropping of the atomic bombs, and how did that make you feel?
Well, I think it was very bad that we had to do it, really. I think it was very bad that we had to go to that extreme. Of course, it may have been the best thing. But getting back to Amatuka, the island I was on, well, all those planes that go into, American planes going to bomb something, would go over where I was stationed. I could identify any plane that went over there, even by the sounds. It could almost tell you how many were in the formation. So I just watched these planes, wonder where were they going, what were they going to do. But I think it's a terrible thing to drop that atomic bomb, but maybe we had no choice.
Did you know within a week of what happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you said you saw airplanes flying over your island going to bomb wherever the Japanese forces were, was there an Air Force base or Marine Corps Air Base nearby Amatuka?
Well, I know there was one at the Gilbert Tower, but they could fly a long way, those bombers, but there was actually no Air Force base close to me.
You mentioned you attend reunions of the Black Marines. What's the name of that organization?
Montford Point Marine.
Montford Point Marines. I hope that you can tell them about this project too, and realize it's not just me doing the interviews. Many people around the country are, and encourage them to have their reminiscences recorded for posterity. And if there's any way I can help you by publicizing the Montford Point Marines, something I never even heard of before, I will. And as a teacher, who teaches U.S. history. I will be teaching them about the Montford Point Marines now. Is there any final remarks that you would like to make about your experience and how your experience might lead us as a nation in the future when we get involved in more wars?
Well, I believe that in wars that we can really bomb anybody we want. We are strong enough. But first, before you go to that extreme, find out how you're going to change a person's heart. Now, like Iraq over there, maybe we had to go, maybe we didn't. But we bombed the people, we almost bombed them off the map. But we did not try to change the heart first, you know. And I think that caused the problem, which I would never see the end in my lifetime. I would never see the end. Yeah. But and also the Marine Corps really helped me to be a better person, I think. When I learned how to discipline, to do a job, somebody told me, I don't need anybody to stand over me to force me to do the best I can. And something that I cannot do, I ask questions. Sir, would you help me? I'm hung up here. And then, I don't know, this instill in you to try to be a better person. And that's in the Marine Corps. I think I learned more in the Marine Corps than I would if I'd put 4 years in college. I do believe.
Well, thank you for this interview, Mr. Lucas.
Yes, sir.